This is Renegade Broadcasting.
All right, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Just a reminder about the call-in number. Somebody had emailed me yesterday and said that they weren't able to find the number. I don't know if it's not on the website or we just wasn't able to find it. But anyway, the number to call in. Anybody has any comments, questions, gripes, whatever. 747-222-8807. Again, that's 747-222-8807. All right, guys, we're going to pick up, we left off yesterday talking about negative Bible quotes, and oh boy, are there plenty of them. They're legion. Again, it just blows my mind how, so many millions of people around the world today, and it's been this way forever. Carl, if you could put your phone on mute.
I do.
Okay, there it goes. Yeah, for some reason it didn't mute, I guess. Anyway, they look to this book for encouragement, for, to be uplifted, to get hope for the future, whatever. And like I said, there's that Bible promise book. Oh, I was a sucker for that. Oh, yeah. I still have my copy on my shelf with notes written all over it. I would add additional verses in there, and frequently turn to that book, if I was down, or I would use it as a student or lay pastor. I would use it to give encouragement to others, always had it handy. And now, years later, to realize, holy crap, that book doesn't encourage people. Again, there's a few scant passages, and they are scant compared to all the mounds of other passages that say something entirely contrary. There's far more discouraging passages than there are encouraging ones. Far more. And in fact, as it turns out, more people have been discouraged from reading that book than encouraged, although they won't talk about it. Bible believers won't. But I personally have witnessed this myself over the years, counseling with people, pastoral counseling. How many times I had people coming to me in a tailspin. What am I going to do? I'm so discouraged. The Bible tells us to have faith and, not to worry and blah, 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 blah. But yet my life, it's not the way it should be. And the Bible tells me that I need to be perfect. Jesus says, be perfect as your Father is perfect. Oh, that's a real encouraging passage. And the way that apologists will explain it away, I should say. They'll say, oh, well, you're not supposed to take that literal. It doesn't mean perfect in the sense of sinlessness. But it doesn't say that. It doesn't explain it. So many people read that passage, and yeah, it throws them in a tailspin. I saw people depressed. They were smiley and happy when they came to church, but deep down inside, they weren't getting fulfillment from this detestable religion. And you can't get fulfillment from it. But they won't admit that to you. Only if they think you're a fellow believer, and they won't discourage you or give you cannon fodder, to condemn their religion all the more. They don't want it condemned. It's a nice crutch they want to lean on. It's a broken crutch, and they're going to fall flat on their face. But nevertheless, it's the illusion of something to lean on, so that they don't want it attacked. They don't want it exposed. So they'll play make-believe that everything's fine. Yes, they'll show up for church each week with a big smile on their face. And when they try to share their faith, they will do everything in their power to convince people that this religion is the answer to all their problems. Look what it's done for me. Look how happy I am. And they'll put on their phony smile. But if you can get them to stop playing games, if you can get them alone and get them to let their guard down and really, really be honest with themselves as well as with you, they will tell you. And I've had many people over the years do this. Of course, I was a Bible dupe myself. I thought it was the answer to our problems. And you know what you do? You go through life, you just ignore everything to the contrary. You do. That's what I did. You're in a fantasy world. Of course, for the most part, in the most hardcore days of my Bible dupedom, I was young, wet behind the ears, hadn't experienced life enough yet, hadn't gotten enough hard knocks to realize that this damn thing does not do anything for you. When I went to school as a theology major, it was in my late 20s, early 30s. So, like I said, I just hadn't been out there enough. I hadn't experienced life enough yet. I was that happy-go-lucky kind of person, everything seemed fine. I hadn't seen the world enough yet, hadn't experienced it enough yet to realize that this whole thing is a goddamn false hope. And by the way, it was a combination. I've often said that what woke me up was the Jew factor. Oh yeah, that was the final clincher. But I had already been prepped for realizing this book is a fraud because of the traumatic experiences I've gone through in life. So many disappointments, so many things gone wrong, while yet praying to the Lord for guidance and for help. But nothing was forthcoming. But I kept ignoring it, sweeping under the rug, ignoring it. No, the Lord's testing my faith. The typical BS that Bible dupes come up with to explain things away. The Lord's going to come through for me one of these days, any minute now. And of course, your life just spirals downward. Things go more wrong. I thought standing up for the truth of the Trinity, God was going to open doors for me and reward me for standing true against the great tide of resistance that was against me, Holy Jesus Christ. Things only continued to get worse. And so by the time I discovered the Jew factor, you know what? I was ready. I had it. I was seeing that this damn thing, far from making my life better, was making it worse. I had seen that everybody I had looked up to as great bulwarks of the faith, their lives were all screwed up. I began to realize that something just doesn't add up here. Something is desperately wrong. And now I see why. Far from this book being the answer to people's problems, it is designed to magnify your problems or to give you problems if you didn't have any to begin with. Well, who doesn't have problems? Everybody does. But this damn book, guys, will give you new problems you never knew you had, problems you never would have had otherwise. It is a mind screw. That's all it is. The illusion of providing you comfort and security and hope, but all the while screwing with your head, getting you to build your life around a collection of false hopes, false promises, false premises. Anyway, so let's look at some more passages along the lines of what I was reading yesterday. I'll just recap the last passage I read. Paul wrote in Romans 7:18, I know that nothing good lives in me, that is, in my sinful nature. For I have the desire to do what is good, but I cannot carry it out. So, Paul, the implication here is that Paul wanted you to believe, and of course, Bible dudes do believe, that without the great Yah, you're incapable of doing anything good. Don't even try. There's another passage. I don't know if I quote that in here. And if not, I should, because that's a really important one. It just came to mind. Nope, I don't. I'm going to have to add that later. There's a passage, and where the hell is it now? This is going back quite a few years into the deep recesses of my foggy mind. No, I can't remember where that is. Actually, it's in the Old Testament. I believe it's in Jeremiah. But anyway, it says, all our righteousness is as filthy rags. Yeah. In other words, our attempt to try to do something good, we could have the most sincere motives. It doesn't matter. According to the Not So Holy book, your righteousness, your attempts to do anything good is filthy rags. Paul says whatsoever is not of faith is sin. Imagine that. I do have that one quoted here, Romans 14:23. That's absolutely disgusting, guys. Again, what this does is discourage you. Throw your arms up in despair and, why even bother? Why should I even bother to try to be a good person? It's going to be, it's going to amount to nothing but filthy rags, says the Not So Holy book. So why even bother? That really is the message. It doesn't tell you don't bother, but the natural implication, it doesn't have to tell you. Like any mind screw job, it doesn't, just look at the media. Look how the media works. I pointed this out in the past. The tribe knows twisted psychology all too well. They've been using it for thousands of years. They got a lot of experience at it in their entertainment media. And that really affects people more than their news media. People tend to emulate what they see their heroes do on the screen, right? So here's how it works. For decades now, systematically, society has been spiraling downward morally to the point now where, look where we're at. Marriages, more than 50% now wind up in divorce. Christ, it's probably 70, 80% now. I don't know. It's bad. Kids have no respect for parents. There's other things that have contributed to that, but mostly it's the media, guys, more than anything else. People are influenced by what they see their, movie star heroes and TV show heroes do. That's all there is to it. They don't have to come out and say, hey, act immoral. Engage in the most depraved acts. Don't have respect for others, blah, 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 blah. Use foul language all the time. Well, I'm kind of guilty of that myself, but sometimes it has a place. But anyway, I don't do it in front of kids, obviously. But they don't care. Kids shows today often depict vulgar themes that you wouldn't even see on adult shows, not too many years ago. And here's how they do it. They don't come out and say, hey, act like a moral monkey, like an ass, engage in depraved activities or, you know, be disrespectful to your parents. No, they don't come out and say, you know, tell people to do that. That's not going to work. In fact, that would backfire. That would have the opposite effect. People would see that early on and run the other direction. No. What they do is, the power of subtle suggestion is far more effective. What they do is they have stars that people have already looked up to for years. They have them do it. Not right away. They'll have them, you know, engage in clean humor first. But in time, once they get you laughing and they got that attachment, that connection made, then they have that person take you over the edge. You know, look what they did, for example, with Hannah Montana. At first, Hannah Montana was a clean-cut kid doing Disney shows, all clean humor. Kids loved it, you know, ha, ha, ha. Parents had no objection to it. It was all, you know, kids safe. The next thing you know, she hits 17, 18, and woo, right off the frickin' charts. So that now all of her fans that followed her as a kid, they're going to go off. And indeed, yes, a great many did, went off the deep end with her. They start emulating the things that she does. Oh, she got a new tattoo on her ass. I'm going to get one too. I'm going to disfigure and deface my body. That's the cool thing to do. Oh, she got a nipple piercing or whatever. I don't even know if she has a nipple. You know what I'm saying. This is how they do it, guys. This is how they do it. I pointed this out before, you know, Lucille Ball, for the most part, her comedy, you know, it was clean. There was nothing wrong with it morally. However, look how she manipulated, or at least her script writers used her to manipulate. But I would have to argue she was doing manipulating too. I used to have respect for her, not anymore. She was a hardcore frickin' communist, ladies and gentlemen. And she was a tribe member, so there you go. She was a little wench bag. I don't think she did what she did ignorantly. She knew exactly what she was doing. She manipulated women, and what she was doing in doing this was to set the stage for the fraudulent CIA orchestrated, tribal introduced women's lib goddamn movement, which did not benefit women nor men, of course. Sorry, ladies, but you were duped on that one. I've talked about that in the past. I'll talk about it more in the future. Anyway, what she did was encourage women. And it was all done under the guise of comedy. Hardy, he. She encouraged women to ignore, disrespect, and go against their husband's wishes behind their back. That was pretty much the theme of every one of those frickin' shows. It was all funny, ha ha ha, you know. But look at the mind warp that was going on. And it was highly effective, wasn't it? So that by 10 years later, what she set off became the norm now. All women around the country were jumping on the bandwagon and getting in on this. The hell with what your husband says. You know, I'm going to be independent. I'm going to go my own way, do my own thing. Women's lib. Liberation. Now, hey, you know, I don't deny that there were things going on. You know, women were denied certain rights that shouldn't have never happened. But guys, they did that on freaking purpose. They were denying women's rights on purpose to get you to jump on the bandwagon and then go over the whole top with it. You know, the same with McCarthyism. McCarthy was absolutely correct. Everything he said. But they took that. The tribe themselves took that and went way over the top with it, sabotaged it by design to try to discredit it. And you know what? It worked ultimately. I mean, look today. People look back, most people, at McCarthyism and say, yeah, that was ridiculous. Several Hollywood movies that have come out recently have underscored that idea. But the whole thing actually turned out to be a complete scam. It was like a witch hunt. Those poor communists. you've seen any of these recent movies, you know what I'm talking about. I can't remember the damn names of them. I've seen so many freaking movies. I can't. Friends are always asking me to go, and I don't mind going. I like to see what the latest propaganda is, but I can never remember the name of it. That Tom Cruise thing there. And, what the hell was that one about the Soviet spy? Not Tom Cruise. What the hell was his name? I'm terrible with Hollywood trivia. These freaking people, I could give a crap. Tom Hanks. He played the lawyer that defended that communist spy there, whatever. Anyway, you watch that movie, and it's designed for you to sympathize. And, maybe that individual personally deserves sympathy. Maybe he was a decent guy. It doesn't matter. It's designed for you to sympathize with the communists. That's all that's its whole intent. Oh, look, he was such a humble guy, and he was actually quite funny. He made a few little zingers that got people laughing. And so it portrayed, the purpose was to portray the communists as decent, level-headed, sensible people that you should at least sympathize with, if not join ranks with, And that those against communism, look what tyrants they were. Gee. And it works. And then you got the Noam Chomsky's out there. Oh, hey, who can deny? There's a lot of good stuff in his books, right? Except his 9/11 book. But, yeah, he's written some good stuff over the years, exposing the fraudulence of the Cold War and everything, blah, 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 blah. But all the while, here he is, a hardcore communist. A lot of lefties love that guy. He's their champion, their hero, their poster boy for human rights and dignity and democracy. Guy's a fraudulent scam artist extraordinaire. A tribal communist pig. By squeaking a little truth out there, he reels the suckers in. They do this all the time, guys. They're masters at perverted psychology. Masters at it. Again, hey, how can you expect otherwise? They've had so much experience at it. And, that doesn't mean that they're geniuses. I hate when people call these scumbags geniuses. They're not geniuses. They just don't have a conscience. That's all you need to have or not have to do what they do. You don't have to be smarter than anybody else. You just got to be devious. They know most people are endowed with a conscience and aren't even capable of comprehending that people can be that evil, at least not people in officialdom. Evil people are the ones in the gutters or in the prisons, Not the ones with the three-piece suits that are running our world. Oh, why? They would never do. It just can't even enter people's mind. So they don't see the evils that these scumbags do because they're not looking for them. They know that, take full advantage of it, and sucker these people till the cows come home. Again, not because they're geniuses, but because they have no conscience and they know that people are going to trust them and believe them, no matter what they do or say. 99.9% of them, anyway. And they do. Always have. Apparently, always will. Humanity will never advance, ladies and gentlemen. I hate to say it. There are individuals who will, here and there, but as a whole, society is never going to advance. And you know why? Because society as a whole doesn't have the intelligence of a goddamn park squirrel. As I said before, squirrels in the park have more intelligence. It takes forever for you to win, unless, it's like in Boston where the squirrels are already domesticated. But, most squirrels are very streetwise. You might be able to throw peanuts at them from a distance. They'll run and grab it and take off. But to have them eat it out of your hand? Oh, no, ain't going to happen. It takes you forever to to build up the trust of a squirrel. But the minute you even hint that you're going to betray that trust, that squirrel is going to run off and he will never come near you again. People, you can kick them in the teeth, shove your foot up their arse with a steel-toed boot, whack them over the head, insult them, crap on them, piss on them, spit on them, and they're going to come running back for more every time. As long as you tell them that you're God's chosen, a voice piece, to guide them spiritually. If you haven't convinced that you're a man of God or you're a decent politician who's fighting day and night, even though you don't do anything to benefit them, you're sure trying hard as hell to make life better for them. They will eat out of your hand every time. You're stabbing them in the back with your left hand, but feeding them a few scant morsels with your other hand. And so they will trust you. They don't have the intelligence of a goddamn squirrel. So, yeah, society as a whole, I hate to say it, but because society as a whole has that kind of mentality, always has, and obviously always will, the only advancing society will do is the few individuals that figure this bitch thing out and, don't fall for it anymore. But unfortunately, those have always been in a minority. We can only hope that the few who figure this out hijack this goddamn system and forcefully turn it around. Then the mutton chomping sheep. Then they'll jump, after the work's already been done by the small minority. Then they'll come around and say, I suspected it all the time. I knew it. I knew it deep down inside. I knew you guys were right. When I called you conspiracy nuts, I was just joking. Stupid asses. And then a generation later, the ignoramuses will slip back into complacency and be ripe for the picking by the next generation of tyrants and liars. Jesus Christ. It's amazing. We all have the same amount of gray matter between our ears. But so few people ever use it. Anyway, let's get into our, holy Christ, half hour into the show, and I haven't even made any progress with these notes here. Matthew 15:19 is the next passage we'll look at. Jesus said, "For out of the heart come evil thoughts, murder, adultery, sexual immorality, theft, false testimony, slander." Jesus here says that all of these evil things proceed from the heart. So, in other words, your heart is naturally evil. That is the Bible message. You are innately evil. Now, there's no question there are certain people in this world, and you know who I'm talking about, there are certain people in this world who are naturally evil, born that way. It's frickin' encoded in their genetics. No question about that. But the Bible teaches that everybody is that way. Everybody. Remember I read yesterday, there's none that do good, no, not one. All are corrupt. That means grandma baking her goddamn blueberry muffins. Get the hell out of here. What a lying fraud this book is. Shut up, right, guys. Be right back.
From the Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion. Shalom.
In order to put public opinion into our hands, we must bring it into a state of bewilderment by giving expression from all sides to so many contradictory opinions, and for such length of time as will suffice to make the average person lose their heads in the labyrinth and come to see that the best thing is to have no opinion of any kind in matters political.
All right, guys, welcome back. Self-flagellation, ladies and gentlemen. That's one of the reasons why that thing has existed for centuries on end and will continue to persist within the Catholic Church. Other religions have practiced it too, going back to ancient times. But the Catholic Church has been big on this, still is in many parts of the world, where religious devotees will literally harm themselves. They'll beat themselves. They'll whip themselves. They'll pierce themselves. Look at that guy in in the Philippines. Every year at Easter time, this crazy SOB has himself nailed to a wooden cross in a town square. Puts on this disgusting little public show. He does it for several reasons. He's trying to illustrate the love of Jesus. He went through this for us. But he's also doing it to pay for his and the sins of others. This damn book has convinced him that he, and indeed the whole world, is so evil. Oh, the world's filled with evil people, no question. But everybody, he's doing it for Grandma, who made his blueberry muffins the other night. Grandma is evil, too. Sweet little old Grandma. Why, she's an evil bitch. She should be self-flagellating herself, too. And if she won't do it, why, we should do it for her. She's evil like everybody else. That's the mentality, guys. That's the mentality. We're all evil. Look how degrading. Anything that debases people, that rips away their hope, strips them of dignity, of self-respect, the tribe is always into that. And that's why this book is all for it. That's what this book is all about. And yet, once again, they love the twisted mind screw of it all because it pawns itself off as a book of hope and encouragement. Let us bring you hope and encouragement with our mind-warping, twisted BS that will depress and degrade and demoralize you. Yeah! Yeah! 3 cheers. Good job. Good job, tribe. Good job. Well, I'm glad it ain't fooling me anymore, but unfortunately, folks, it's got so very, very many people around the world still fooled and probably ever will be. They'll pass it on to their kids who will pass it on to theirs, on and on. It'll just go on into endless perpetuity. Thank heavens, it's on the decline. Religion in general, but, adherence to the not-so-holy book, it is on the decline. Church attendance is dropping. That is frickin' great. But you know what? We'll never be rid of it. Never be rid of it. As long as there are pacifier suckers in this world, and are they suckers in every sense of the word, that damn book is always going to thrive, at least in certain sectors anyway. All the while, the trend is starting to show signs of turning around. But nevertheless, go to the goddamn Bible Belt. You're not going to see any trends changing there. God damn it, man. I don't know how people can live there. I really don't. That aren't Bible dupes. I had a listener email me one time and tell me, yeah, I live right in the heart of the Bible Belt. Oh, may the gods bless you. I don't know how you do it. I really don't. I could never. Oh, Jesus Christ, man. Get me the frig out. I'd scratch and claw my way out of there any way I could. I just could not live in that kind of, oh, Jesus, goddamn. We have our share of religious dupes here in New England, too, but, for the most part, people, even the church attenders have somewhat of a liberal attitude. They're not quite as fanatic. Oh, we have them. They're out there, but not as bad, not anywhere near as bad as what you've got in the freaking Bible Belt. Anyway, getting back to our notes here. Let's see, Psalm 51:5. Look at the mentality here. For I was born a sinner, yes, from the moment my mother conceived me. This is the Bible's teaching. All over the place, this same message. Worded differently, but it couldn't be clearer. That we are evil and corrupt from the word go, right from the womb. Imagine that, guys. Babies. Not only grandma baking those blueberry muffins. Babies. Could you conceive of a better example of the embodiment of innocence than a little goddamn infant in the cradle? You can't. Except for, the rock that you use to hold your door open. That might have a slighter, higher degree of innocence than a baby. But as far as human beings go, babies are the peak of innocence. It's all downhill from there. You don't get more innocent than you do a baby. But yet this goddamn book tells you that babies are corrupt and sinful right from the word go. And you know how Bible dupes account for that? I tell you, to make that book shine, to defend it, they'll climb the highest mountain, swim the deepest river. They'll tell you that, well, haven't you ever seen a baby cry before? They want their bottle. They're selfish. That shows right from the womb that they're evil and they're selfish. It's selfish to cry when they're hungry. That's the only way they know to communicate. And being hungry has nothing to do with selfishness. It is a biological need, you dumbasses. This is what Bible dupes will do. So, to prove that their holy book is right, they'll resort to something like that and say that a baby crying is proof that a baby is selfish and evil. Holy horse crap, man. And that's all this damn book is. But there you have it, guys. I was born a sinner, yes, from the moment my mother conceived me. Yeah, I'm surprised David here didn't take that a step further and say oh, no, he did. I'm sorry. Yeah. He did take it a step further. Not just from the moment I popped out of the womb, from the moment I was conceived. So there you go, guys. You were screwed right from the zygote stage without even knowing it. Never mind from the moment you popped out of the womb. Before you even left the womb, you must have been sinning inside the womb. You had selfish thoughts as you took in your mother's amniotic fluid. That was selfish of you, you evil bastard. You don't even deserve to be born. I've heard Christians say that. Oh, yeah. I'm so evil, I don't even deserve to be here, so every day of life in this world is a gift from God. And if I should die today, well, I deserve it. Oh, yeah, I've heard that. Jesus died and he didn't deserve it. I should have been the one who died on the cross because I deserve it. You know how many times I've heard Christians say that? Self-flagellation. You don't have to be a Roman Catholic and take the whip out and beat the crap out of yourself. Just engage in that kind of verbal BS. I deserve to die on the cross. Whatever. You talk about sadomasochism, for Christ's sake. Christians are sadomasochists. If they don't beat themselves physically, they sure do it mentally. What the hell's the difference, really, in the end? You're still a miserable, decrepit fool mentally. Sometimes that's worse than the physical decrepitness. Maybe you're better off going to the Philippines this Easter Sunday. Set up a whole bunch of crosses. That would be better than the mental abuse that you inflict on yourself as a believer. Christians make a career out of self-debasing themselves. They think it brings them closer to the great Holy One. Oh, and is he ever holy, isn't he? But, in the process of exalting their God, they debase themselves. In fact, as John the Baptist said, he must increase and I must decrease. That's the Christian way. Magnify the great Yah, the mass-murdering, child-murdering bastard in the sky. Magnify that thing while you debase yourself. He must increase, I must decrease. Look at the twisted mind-warp psychology at play there. And they fall for it by the frickin' handful, by the truckload. There's another one, Galatians 3:22. Again, the great Apostle Paul. He said, the scripture declares that the whole world is a prisoner of sin. Oh, no doubt. There are prisoners of sin out there. Oh, yeah. The tribe. They live for evil. They're constantly coming up with new ways to unleash misery upon society. Yeah. Oh, yeah. They absolutely are prisoners of their own evil ways. But to say that the whole world is that way, that's what Paul just said, ladies and gentlemen. I didn't. I'm not putting words in his mouth. He said it. Galatians 3:22. The scripture declares that the whole world is a prisoner of sin. There is none that does righteousness. All are evil. Remember, I read that yesterday. None are good. In addition to all of that, there's plenty more. Let's look at some other discouraging passages in this damn book. Not only does it have you debase yourself and convince you that you're a wretch, there's no hope for you, you have to turn to the great Yah, the great child-murdering bastard, for your holiness. You can't produce it of yourself. Only the child-murdering bastard can produce goodness in you. Only he can make you good. And once he makes you good, then, he'll send you out to murder for him, and that will be good. Imagine that. If you touched yourself today, you're evil, but if you turn to Yahweh and he makes you righteous, you can go out and kill little babies, and you'll be good because you're doing what he tells you to do. Touching yourself is evil. Killing babies is good. That's the message of this twisted, mind-warping BS collection of freshly excreted horse crap. But anyway, there's more to come. Let's look at some of the Bible's not-so-wise wisdom. Proverbs 14:20. Look at the crap that's in here, man. It says, the poor are disliked even by their neighbors, but the rich have many friends. Ooh. There's the wisdom of God for you in action right there. Did you catch that? Who but a tribesman would write something like that? The poor are disliked, even by their neighbors, but the rich have many friends. The poor that are disliked by scoundrelous, unscrupulous, rich scum who look down their nose at them, thinking that their ill-gotten wealth makes them better than they are. And the rich have many friends because they have freaking money. That's why. Can you imagine that this crap is in this book? Write that one down, folks. Proverbs 14:20. And here's how you do it. Here's how you frig with a Bible dupe with that one. Agree with them. Say, oh, yeah, the Bible's filled with great, wisdom, isn't it? Oh, yes, you can tell that God's fingerprints are all over that. Why? It couldn't possibly be the product. Oh, play it up real big. It couldn't possibly be the product of human hands. There's not even a hint of human frailty in that book. It has all the hallmarks of an all-wise and all-loving God. After you build it up, then share this verse with them. But recently, I came across this verse, though. I have a problem with it. Maybe you can help me. The poor are disliked even by their neighbors, but the rich have many friends. Jesus Christ almighty. Here's another one, Proverbs 17:8. This is from the great wise Solomon. He's called the wisest man that ever lived. Oh, he's wise, all right. You got to be pretty wise when you can pawn off crap like this as something good and wholesome. He was a wise guy. I'll give him that. Yeah, he was quite the wise guy. Proverbs 17:8 says, a bribe is a charm to the one who gives it. Wherever he turns, he succeeds. Holy frickin' crap, guys. Once again, is this not right out of the goddamn protocols? A bribe is a charm to the one who gives it. Do you see why they've engaged in behavior like this so much down through the centuries? Their holy book sanctions this crap. You Gentile fools out there that fall for this propagandic BS, why aren't you out there bribing and conniving and sleazing? You love that book so much, it teaches you to do this. Why are you frowning upon things your book embraces? Either become the scum that this book teaches you to become, or give the damn thing up once and for all, if you in fact do have moral standards and don't believe in this stuff. Put it in the back of your toilet and use it for backup toilet paper should you run out. Proverbs 20, verse 30 says, blows and wounds cleanse away evil, and beatings purge the innermost being. Wow! Do you see where self-flagellation comes from now? There it is right there, guys, right in your frickin' face. Don't condemn any Protestants out there listening. Don't condemn Catholics for practicing self-flagellation, beating themselves, whipping themselves, piercing themselves. Oh, no, 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 no. Your holy book endorses it. Blows and wounds cleanse away evil, and beatings purge the innermost being. So you should be doing the same thing that Catholics have been doing for centuries. You should be self-flagellating yourself. Beat yourself. Whip yourself. The more, the better. The more blood you draw, the closer you're going to get to Jesus. The more you're going to purge the evil from you. And as you whip yourself, if you should say, oh, crap, God damn it, why, you just need to whip yourself harder because now you just sinned in the process of whipping yourself. So keep doing it harder, harder and harder and harder. And eventually, you'll purge yourself of that evil because you'll be dead. And you'll finally be free of all that evil. Holy Jesus Christ almighty. Here's another one. Proverbs 22:15. Folly is bound up in the heart of a child, but the rod of discipline will drive it far from him. Folly is bound up in the heart of a child. Again, yeah, kids from time to time do act up. They do need discipline. But the implication here is that all kids at all times everywhere are constantly looking for ways to act up, misbehave. And so you need to be constantly beating them. I mean, that's really the message here. Folly is bound up in the heart of a child. It's natural for all kids all the time, everywhere. That's the message here, guys. Here's another one. Ecclesiastes 1:14. I have seen all the things that are done under the sun. All of them are meaningless. A chasing after the wind. This is Solomon writing too. Can you freaking believe that? You talk about a message of hopelessness. Oh, forget it, guys. Don't even bother. Give up before you even try. Why even get out of bed in the morning? Why even bother eating? You're only going to crap it out. Why go to sleep? You're only going to have to wake up. Oh, why wake up? You're only going to have to go to sleep. Why do anything? Oh, I'll just sit here in bed and mope around all day. You talk about zapping your talk about a killjoy. Look at this. All things, it says. Everything that's done under the sun, all of them are meaningless. A chasing after the wind. That's wisdom. This scoundrel, once again, guys, is called the greatest, wisest man in the world. Remember yesterday, Jesus said, no one greater than Solomon has ever walked the earth. Except himself, of course. But what is so great about this bastard? What is so wise? Look at this. Ecclesiastes 3:22 says, there is nothing better for a man than to enjoy his work because that is his lot. Oh, really? That sounds like it comes from the tribe too, doesn't it? And it does. Your work. Do you see how they get you to live your life, guys, around your work? That's your number one priority. Everything else takes a back seat. Everything. Not everybody does it, but society as a whole, they certainly do. They've got our goddamn economy so rigged now that they got people thinking, and in some cases they're not just thinking it, they actually do have to make it their priority now. Just to get by. If we can't get them to think that way on their own, we'll force them into that mentality. And so look how they got people scurrying about in the rat maze that they've created. So that your every waking moment, pretty much, except for a few moments here and there to whiff down a quick meal and then right back to work again. People don't have any goddamn free time to enjoy their life. They don't. The few moments they have, what are they doing? They're so goddamn tired. They're taking naps here and there. Wake up to have supper and then, put the kids to bed and go, right back to bed again. Up first thing in the morning, right off to work. Your whole life is based around that. So this is what Solomon here is saying. The great wise man, that is his lot, his work. That's all you were put here for to do, except that it's your lot in life. Oh, really? That's the mentality they want you to have, ladies and gentlemen. All down through the centuries, they've owned the factories. While they sat on their fat asses on the golf course, they had you out busting your hind parts, working your fingers to the bone. You and your kids. Oh, when you look back at the goddamn Industrial Revolution, who brought us that? Look at the frickin' little kids, guys, 4, 5, 6 years old, getting their fingers lopped off in machines, getting no compensation for it. Oh, too bad for you. Next! They would hang signs up in the factories. You don't show up Sunday morning. Don't bother showing up Monday morning. They didn't care. They'll fire you. There's 100 more waiting at the front door in line for a job. We'll just hire them. No benefits, meager, dirt wages. Well, they were hoarding all the profits. Hey, well, we're pretty much come full circle now, haven't we? Pretty much back where we were. Inadequate wages to begin with, even if you had full time, but you don't. No benefits. And if you can afford any products, you're getting, a huge bag of potato chips, and yet you open it up and what do you got? 2 handfuls at the bottom of the bag? You bought a bag of air. Wow. You got to love how they're disguising their little profiteering scams now. Instead of raising prices, they're doing that too. But, a lot of food packaging plants now are putting less in. They're giving you less, or they're shrinking the size, keeping the price the same. In some cases, they're doing both, shrinking the size and increasing the price. Jesus Christ. All in line with Solomon's wisdom here. Cheating, lying, stealing, conniving. Don't forget the very first book that we know of to ever endorse officially. Goddamn usury is this book, ladies and gentlemen. Here's another one along this same line. We just read that, all things under the sun are meaningless. It's chasing after the wind. Right in line with that philosophy from the same book, Ecclesiastes, chapter 12, verse 8. Listen to what this bastard goes on to say. Meaningless, meaningless. Everything is meaningless. I wonder how many people over the centuries, over the millennia, who were down and out, who turned to this damn book for encouragement and instead found passages like this and it pushed them over the edge. Oh, I bet it's a very high number. Meaningless. Everything is meaningless. This book certainly is. Be right back, folks.
From the Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion.
Oi, the Gentiles are a flock of sheep, and we are their wolves, and you know what happens when the wolves get hold of the flock. There is another reason also why they will close their eyes, for we shall keep promising them to give back all the liberties we have taken away as soon as we have quelled the enemies of peace and tamed all parties. It is not worthwhile to say anything about how long a time they will be kept waiting for this return of their liberties.
This is Renegade Broadcasting.
Show. Jeez. I've had people tell me over the years, I don't know how you do it 2 hours every day. And for me, 2 hours isn't enough. I feel like a dam ready to burst. You find out so much stuff. You can't wait to get it. I can't get the information out there fast enough. I can't read and type fast enough either. And I type pretty fast, but not fast enough. I got so many topics that I want to research and cover, and it's just not enough hours in the day. Anyway, back to our discussion here. But check that passage out, guys. Meaningless, meaningless. Everything is meaningless. How many people, as I was saying before the break, how many people have turned to this book for encouragement and read passages like this and wound up getting discouraged? If you take to heart a passage like this, God damn it, this could be the thing that pushes you over the edge. The Bible itself, God's word itself, says everything is meaningless. Well, why should I even bother then? Why continue on? What's the point? That's the message here. This must be part of the early eugenics program, incorporating verses like this in this damn book. Ecclesiastes 1, starting with verse 8, says, all things are wearisome. What has been done will be done again. Even those who are yet to come will not be remembered by those who follow. So your life is meaningless. It's not going to have any impact. Why bother? No one's going to even remember you. No, what the hell is this? Unfortunately, in this tribal run world of ours, the people who wind up getting remembered are the ones that you should be forgetting about, like this bastard. The wise man. Ecclesiastes 1:18 says, with much wisdom comes much sorrow. The more knowledge, the more grief. Well, to some degree, I have to agree with that. Yeah. The more you find out how this frickin' screwed up, twisted, evil world of ours operates, the more grief it does bring you. But that should motivate you all the more. Not to want to give up and throw your arms up in despair, to fight all the more. That should motivate you. Not make you want to throw your arms up and not even leave your house. But that's the message of this damn book. All is meaningless. All is worthless. But notice how this book degrades wisdom and knowledge, cutting down, an education, a real education. With much wisdom comes much sorrow. The more knowledge, the more grief. So don't even bother learning. That's the message. Here's another one. Again, Ecclesiastes. Most of these are from Mr. Solomon. Ecclesiastes 2:14 says, the wise man has eyes in his head, while the fool walks in darkness. But the same fate overtakes them both. So listen to that. In other words, well, it doesn't really matter. Why bother pursuing wisdom? You're going to share the same fate anyway. Ultimately, he's probably referring to death here. Well, no kidding. Yeah, we're all going to die. But again, he doesn't even explain that. He kind of leaves you thinking that, well, why bother pursuing knowledge? I'm going to wind up the same as the fool. No, you're not. Ultimately in the grave, yeah. But in the meantime, in life, Solomon doesn't encourage you to pursue wisdom because it can help you to lead a better life and a more fulfilling life, and you can free yourself from the hucksters. No, he doesn't say that. All he's doing here is discouraging people from wanting to learn and advance themselves. As I pointed out a few weeks ago when I talked about the Bible's position on education, it frowns on it. Does. And by default, doesn't it have to do that? Because educated people don't fall for this book, guys. Truly educated people. Well-rounded educated people. Most Bible dupes. Oh, there are some with degrees, yeah. But most Bible dupes are, in fact, uneducated. I mean, look at a Bible Belt. Oh, that's something to be proud of, Christian listeners out there. And I doubt there are any, but, that's something for Christian people to be proud of. The bulk of adherents to their religion are products of incest in the Bible Belt. Ecclesiastes 3:19 says, man's fate is like that of the animals. The same fate awaits them both. As one dies, so dies the other. All have the same breath. Man has no advantage over the animal. Everything is meaningless. Look at this. Jesus Christ. Did you realize this book was so full of degrading, demoralizing passages like this? The great Solomon, the great man of wisdom, this is his wisdom. Here's another one, again, from Solomon. I think pretty much all of these are from him. Here's another one. Ecclesiastes 7, verses 2 and 3 says, it is better to go to a house of mourning than to go to a house of feasting, for death is the destiny of every man. What the hell is this? And then he goes on to say, sorrow is better than laughter, because a sad face is good for the heart. Holy Jesus Christ. This is the same guy, by the way, who said laughter is good, good to the body like a medicine. This is the same guy. Laughter does good to a body like medicine. But yet he also said, sorrow is better than laughter, because a sad face is good for the heart. Oh, okay, so laughter is good, but sorrow is even better. So, I'm not going to tell you any jokes today, says the comedian. I'm going to tell stuff that's going to depress you, because it's better for you. Holy Jesus Christ. I just, don't you marvel? Doesn't your jaw drop to the floor hearing this crap? Don't you just want to go, with a bullhorn to the highest peak in town and shout at the top of your lungs? You mindless asses. Stop following this book. Look what it says. Look what it teaches. Ecclesiastes 9, 7-9. Again, this is the great wise Solomon. Listen to what else he said. Eat your food with gladness and drink your wine with a joyful heart. Enjoy life with your wife, whom you love, all the days of this meaningless life that God has given you. All your meaningless days. Jesus Christ. First you think that, this is going to be encouraging. Yeah, he's talking about, enjoy life, enjoy your food, enjoy your wife. Wow, this is an encouraging passage. And then he ends off by saying, all these days of this meaningless life that God has given you. So not only is your life meaningless, but your meaningless life was given to you by God. Wow. all your meaningless days, he said. Do you see how many times this phrase is repeated? All is vanity, all is hopeless, useless, meaningless. Wow. Here's another one, Ecclesiastes 10:19. A feast is made for laughter, and wine makes life merry, but money is the answer for everything. Jesus Christ. Once again, guys, Bible dupes love to quote where Paul says, the love of money is the root of all evil. But did these same mindless asses know that that same book also says that money is the answer for everything? Wow. No wonder Solomon said that rich men have many friends. Yeah, it's the answer for everything. You want friends? Use your money to buy friends. They won't be real friends. They'll be phonies just like you, but you'll at least have the illusion of friends. Because money has the answer for everything. Is that why they love it so much and engage in usury so much? Because it's the answer for everything? This is the wisdom of Solomon, ladies and gentlemen. Hear the word of the Lord. Hebrews 11:36 to 38 says, this is apparently Paul wrote this, whatever. Anyway, others had trial of, Paul, what he's doing here is looking back in time at the great bulwarks of the faith of the past. And he's trying to supposedly encourage believers in his day, take heart, look at believers of the past and the trials they have endured. And so that's supposed to encourage you as a believer to want to press on with your faith. Listen to what it says. Others had trial of cruel mockings and scourgings, yet moreover of bonds and imprisonment. They were stoned, they were sawn asunder, were tempted, were slain with the sword. They wandered about in sheepskins and goatskins, being destitute, afflicted, tormented, of whom the world was not worthy. They wandered in deserts and in mountains and in dens in caves of the earth. That's supposed to encourage you. So when you go through, the message here is, so when something goes wrong for you in your life, don't complain, embrace it. Look what other believers have had to endure in the past. Who are you to think your life should be any better? And so they'll quote from Peter, who says, think it not strange when some fiery trial befalls you, but rejoice in it. Embrace suffering. That's another mind screw message of this detestable goddamn collection of nonsense. Embrace it. Christians have this persecution complex, just like the tribe that spawned them. Only makes sense, right? They don't claim, the Holocaust thing, but they do claim that they're being persecuted all the time. They want to be. If they're not, they think that something is wrong. I need to be persecuted to convince me so I can know I'm on the right path and that I'm following God and that God is pleased with me. If I'm being persecuted, I'm not kidding, guys. This is what they believe. If they're not being persecuted, they're doing something wrong. So even though they might complain, I'm being persecuted, they love it. They want it. That's what the message here is in Hebrews 11. James 5:10-11 says, take my brethren, the prophets, who have spoken in the name of the Lord, for an example of suffering and affliction. The prophets left us an example, says James, of suffering and affliction. And so we should follow in their footsteps too. We should pursue suffering and affliction. Why? It's good for us. It'll purify us. It'll strengthen our faith, make us better people, build our character. You know how many times I've heard that? I'm sorry to tell you, I preached about it too on occasion. We are apportioned thereto, says the not so holy book, to persecution, to affliction. It's our lot as believers, says the Bible. It brought patience, James goes on to say. All the afflictions and the sufferings, it brought them patience, perfected their character, increased their faith. So that's something good. The bend over and lube up philosophy. Not only are you not to take vengeance on your enemies, teach them a lesson, or bring them to justice. No! You're to bend over, lube up, take it like a man, and embrace it. Warmly embrace your sufferings and trials, because, again, it's going to purify you and make you a better person. While you're out on the street, destitute, and have nothing, praise the Lord in your afflictions. James goes on to say, behold, we count them happy which endure. Jesus said, blessed are those who endure unto the end, for the same shall be saved. So if you want to be saved and live in frickin' Yahweh land for all eternity, endure with a smile your trials and sufferings as you get exploited, taken advantage of, kicked in the teeth, laid off, have your home seized through the mortgage foreclosure scam. Enjoy it. Sing hallelujah, praise the Lord. James goes on to say, you have heard of the patience of Job. Oh, how many times I hear that nonsensical book cited as a good example. See? God blessed him in the end. He had everything taken away. Oh, yeah? How many times have you seen that, folks, when people have everything taken away and they're blessed in the end? You know what they'll tell you when you cite examples of, no, this one didn't, that one didn't. He went to his grave in the poorhouse. They'll say, oh, well, God has a reward for him one day in heaven. So live a miserable bitch of an existence in this life till your dying day. But don't worry. I got a home in glory land and outshines the sun. Remember that frickin'... Remember that song? Any of you former Bible dupes out there? I got a home in glory land and outshines the sun. That's how they get through their life. Not standing up against the scam artist usurists that are frigging up their life. Nope. They whistle and skip and jump through this miserable bitch of an existence at the hand of the tribe. They put up with it. They embrace it. And they keep thinking, well, one day in glory land, out will shine the sun. Black slaves used to sing songs like that. Out in the fields. Didn't band together, didn't rise up. Well, some did, but very few. Didn't rise up. Nope, they smiled and whistled and danced and sang their way through it. And it was all BS. Every last bit of it. You know, I think I told this story before. I got to mention it again in this context. My grandfather was an agnostic. And I used to feel bad for him, and I'd pray for him. And, I was always trying to come up with some word of wisdom to give him, hoping it would turn him around and make him a believer. Oh, the irony of it all. I wish he was alive today so I could tell him, hey, Gramps, son of a gun, you had it right the whole damn time. He wasn't an atheist. He believed that there was something out there. But he mocked the Bible God, and boy, was he right. Anyway, one day, I did give him food for thought, and I regret ever saying it, but one day I says, well, Gramps, I'd rather have a false hope, because that's what he told me. He says, oh, you're just trusting in a false hope. I says, well, Gramps, I'd rather have a false hope than no hope at all, meaning you don't believe in God, so you don't have any hope, And I remember he looked at me, he smirked, and he said, well, you got a point there. Unfortunately, I think I gave him pause for thought, In other words, yeah, you got to, there's some wisdom in that. Maybe you're better off. It didn't turn him around, and I'm glad it didn't. But Well, I wish I never said it, because how more foolish can you get than that? I thought that that was wisdom, and maybe I'm going to make him come around to seeing the light of Jesus, What kind of wisdom is that? At the time I took pride in it, and I thought, hey, I got him. You can't argue that point. No, of course you can argue that point. That point is a freaking BS. Ladies and gentlemen, I would rather have no hope than a false hope. And when I say no hope, I mean no hope of an afterlife. I would rather have no hope at all of an afterlife than a false hope. Going through life, living in a fantasy land, letting your belief system hold you back, keep you in a cage, twist your thinking about everything in life. I mean, that's what it does. I'd rather have a false hope than no hope. No. It's the other way around. I don't want any false hope guiding me through life. Living a lie. Unfortunately, most people are quite content with that. They're very happy with that, in fact. And they will get incredibly irate with you when you try to snap them out of their little fantasy world. All right, well, drown in it then. It's all yours. No competition. Ye have heard of the patience of Job, James says, and have seen the end of the Lord, the end result, that the Lord is very pitiful and of tender mercy. Yeah. As he opens the earth up and swallows the heretics. As he sends bolts of lightning down to fry your ass. If you reach out to catch the ark because you don't want it to get damaged, you see it's going to fall like Uzzah. The Lord is of tender mercy and very pitiful. Oh, he's pitiful, all right. Here's another one, Hebrews 12, 6-12. I love this one. For whom the Lord loves, he chastens and scourges every son whom he receives. If ye endure chastening, God deals with you as with sons. For what son is he whom the Father chastens not? But if ye be without chastisement, whereof all are partakers, then are you bastards and not sons. In other words, you not only need to expect chastening, but if it doesn't come your way, you're not really a child of God. We're all partakers of this. Again, here's the idea that you should embrace things going wrong in your life. It's a sign that God... Notice, guys, things going wrong is a sign that God is working in your life. That's the message of this damn book. Not things going right and God is making life easy for you and answering your prayers and, helping you to live as a comfortable life as you can. I'm not talking about material possessions. I'm just talking about, having an easy life where you're not suffering trial and tribulation and goddamn cancer. And no. According to this, you should be suffering cancer and trials and having your house burned down or broken into, your daughter getting raped, your wife getting run over by a bus, whatever. These things should happen. It's a sign that God is working in your life. That's the message of this mind-warping, twisted collection of filth. Literary lunacy. The passage goes on. Furthermore, we have fathers of our flesh, which corrected us, and we gave them reverence. Shall we not much rather be in subjection unto the Father of spirits, meaning Yahweh, and live? For they verily for a few days chastened us after their own pleasure, but he for our profit, that we might be partakers of his holiness. In other words, God chastens us for our own good. So when something goes wrong, some tragedy, horrific tragedy strikes in your life, you should be singing praises to God. He's doing this so that you can partake of his holiness. And don't you just want to partake of that holiness? Isn't that your priority in life? Don't you want to partake of the holiness of the child-murdering, fire-breathing bastard in the sky? No chastening, Paul says, for the present seems to be joyous, but grievous. Never Nevertheless, afterward, it yields the peaceable fruit of righteousness unto them which are exercised thereby. Wherefore lift up the hands which hang down, and the feeble knees. In other words, stop your whining, you pussy. Be glad that you're suffering these trials. It's God himself that has sent them. So do you know how many times I've heard Christians over the years, in my years of being a Bible dude, chanting that same mantra. Oh, yes, life is full of hard knocks, but praise the Lord through it all. I thank God for my trials. They really don't mean that, though. They just say that so that they can continue to cling to their BS faith. But deep down inside, ladies and gentlemen, they are miserable. This goddamn book doesn't bring you any hope at all. Only the illusion that it does. And for these mindless asses, that's all they need, or all they think they need anyway. They're convinced that a book that doesn't provide them comfort, doesn't provide them hope, doesn't have their life go well. In fact, they bring on trials very often because they expect them. They want them. And so, they're a trial magnet, if you will. If you want to be persecuted, you're going to invite it. You're going to bring it on. If it isn't there, it will be, because you'll find a way to bring it upon yourself. If you're convinced that you need to be suffering as proof that God is in your life, you will bring it your way. But you'll be miserable because of it. But yet this mind-warping, twisted collection of propaganda will have you think that that's something good, even though it's not, and you know it isn't deep down inside. You're freaking miserable. But you want it to come your way because you think it's going to make you happy and make you more holy and bring you closer to God, and it's going to convince you that God is, in fact, working in your life. Look at this. You talk about a cat chasing its frickin' tail. Holy Christ, man. Look at the hopelessness of this goddamn frickin' collection of nonsense. And that's the message we just read. No suffering, no trial is pleasant, but in the end it works something good, so embrace it. But in embracing it, it just makes you more freaking miserable. Where is this promise of peace of mind, of happiness, of reward? They'll answer every time, well, if not in this life, the next one to come. They'll have you going through your whole life thinking, oh, any minute now the Lord's going to bless you. He's going to reward you. That moment never comes for most people. So ultimately on your deathbed, when you're still asking, where is that joy and peace the Lord promised? Oh, well, you'll get it in heaven one day. Oh, my frickin' God, man. Here's another passage along this line. This is Peter now. 1 Peter 4:12 and 13. Beloved, think it not strange concerning the fiery trial which is to try you, as though some strange thing happened unto you. But rejoice, inasmuch as you are partakers of Christ's sufferings, that when his glory shall be revealed, you may be glad also with exceeding joy. So there, Peter is telling you, yeah, you're probably not going to have any joy in this life, but don't worry. Someday, according to this fairy tale I'm selling you, someday, long after you're dead, Jesus will raise you back to life, and then you're going to have that peace and joy. In the meantime, embrace this suffering.
I like that name.
Oh, what?
Have you been a good little boy?
Be right back, guys.
Yes.
How old are you, Billy?
I'm 26. I'm an entertainment lawyer in Beverly Hills.
From the Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion.
Oi, We must compel the governments of the Goyim to take action in the direction favored by our widely conceived plan, already approaching the desired consummation, by what we shall represent as public opinion, secretly promoted by us through the means of the so-called great power, the press, which, with a few exceptions that may be disregarded, is already entirely in our hands.
All right, guys, welcome back. So, don't pass judgment, Bible dupes out there. Don't pass judgment on this bozo in the Philippines that nails himself to a cross every year. No, you got no grounds for condemning people for doing things like that. In fact, you should be doing that too, because Peter says here that we should embrace suffering. You are partakers of the Lord's suffering. That's all that guy's doing in the Philippines. He's partaking in the Lord's sufferings, right? If trials don't come his way, he's bringing trials his way. If sufferings don't come his way naturally, he's undertaking the measure of bringing them upon himself. But that's something good, right? Isn't it? It brings you closer to Jesus. It makes you humble. That is, ladies and gentlemen, the quote, logic of Christianity. And you know what? You can't argue it. If you believe in this goddamn book, you should be embracing it, because that's what this book teaches. Biblically speaking, there's nothing wrong with that guy and what he does. Anyway, you got a caller. Welcome to the show, caller.
Hey, Charlie.
What's happening?
This kind of attitude is, in extreme cases, especially, it seems most prevalent in Roman Catholicism.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It is prone to...
Did you know Buddhists have done this? And I think in some parts of the world they still do. Yes.
And it's bound to lead to extreme kind of self-punishment. I remember reading a book about, I think it was something like Curiosities of the Middle Ages or medieval times, something like that. And there was a monk who was cloistered for, 50 years. And his sister, I think she was, if she wasn't ill, she was certainly in her senior years. And her utmost desire for her entire life during this time was to see and converse with her brother before either one of them passed on.
Yeah.
So she went to the monastery and got an audience with him. He refused to look at her because of his piety and his cloistered vows. And while they conversed briefly, he never even saw his sister. He then turned around and went back into the monastery and died, and she was left shattered. What kind of a life is that? God wants you to do that to yourself,
yeah,
to your family?
Yeah. This goes on. People don't realize, if they haven't been raised in that environment or haven't been exposed to it by seeing family members or friends, that is so typical. It's unbelievable. Unless you've experienced it or seen it firsthand, you can't believe how disgusting the whole damn thing is.
Right. Another man who had read passage about it is better. I think it might be from Paul. It is better to be a eunuch if you can.
Oh, Jesus said that.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
For the kingdom of heaven's sake, cut your wee off. Yeah.
Right.
For your danglers, anyway. Yeah.
He was with his mother, I think, by a riverbank or on a hillside. He tore off his gonads with his hands and handed them to his mother and said, "Mother, I will no longer need these."
Unbelievable. Remember the story where God was pissed at Moses? He wanted to punish him because he didn't cut off the foreskin of his kid.
Right.
I love that one.
I mean, this kind of self-punishment, self-deprecation, this is the kind of thing that makes it easy for modern-day people to get on the FEMA train cars off to the camps,
Yeah.
to be kind of obedient cattle.
Blind sheep. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, because they're, first of all, they're used to kowtowing to authority. Secondly, even if they knew that they were heading to the camps, they would just praise the Lord and first call out for his help, and then when that wasn't forthcoming, as of course it would not be, they would then rejoice in their suffering to the bitter end.
Yeah. This book actually programs you to embrace just about anything that comes down the pike in the name of God from that book or from your minister, because you're convinced that God divinely inspired that book, and now he's divinely inspiring your leaders, your religious leaders. And this is why they'll fall for anything. If you can get them to think that baby killing is acceptable under any terms, they are right. And this is why it amazes me when you hear of cults, like the Heaven's Gate or something. People say, oh, that's because they didn't really know Jesus. If they knew Jesus, if they knew the Bible, they wouldn't have fallen for a cult like that. Are you freaking serious? It's because they follow crap like that. Not that every religious, Bible believer is going to, commit suicide or something, but it'll get you to do other ridiculous, heinous, stupid things.
Right, and it will, at the very least, get you to ignore the bitter reality that's in front of your face.
Yeah.
And turn you into a passive lump of goo.
Right.
Yeah, I know this very senior church member, and his quote is, "No matter what happens, God is good all the time." God is good all the time. So you win the lottery, God is good. You get beaten up by a gang in a back alley, God is good.
Oh yeah.
It's a meaningless, empty aphorism.
I remember that reality show a few years ago. What the hell is the name of it? 19 and Counting, I think it was. Is that what?
Yeah, I don't know that.
The Duggar Family. I had a girlfriend that used to watch it. I wanted to vomit. I didn't watch it really, but it would be on in the background. I'd be listening to it. I'm like, oh my God, how can you stand that? But anyway, on one of the shows, they would have had a 20th baby, but they lost the baby. 3 months into it, she had a miscarriage. So there they are. They had a funeral service for the fetus, whatever. And their response to this terrible tragedy was, "The Lord giveth, the Lord taketh away." So in between the tears, they're praising God and thanking him. God has a plan for our little baby. We're going to see him in heaven one day. And in his wisdom, he took the baby from what the hell is this? They're thanking God for killing their baby.
Isn't that Job's line?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, the Lord giveth, the Lord taketh away. He's covered with boils. He's lost all his wealth. He's a miserable wretch.
They always fall back on the Job thing. Somehow they take solace in that.
Yeah. I mean, if that is the kind of God that is showing his hand of mercy, I'm staying as far away as.
Well, here's the thing, too. They don't even stop to think about it. That damn story, they cite it all the time. But do they ever stop to think what is actually going on there? This loving God strikes up a deal with the devil, literally. They meet up and they shake hands on it. Yeah, all right, go ahead. Launch every attack on Job you possibly can. Just don't kill him, but frig with him. Screw his life up. Let's see what happens. As though that God didn't already know. He's supposed to know the future, right? And
Right.
in fact, why would the devil even strike up a bet with God? He knows that God already knows the outcome. So the devil would not want to bet against God. He would want to bet with God on the same side God is on because he already knows the outcome from the beginning. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Or better yet, that God can do anything without the devil even knowing what he's doing. He could manipulate Job so Job did what he wanted in the end. And the devil wouldn't know that God manipulated. He could fix the bet. You know what I'm saying? The whole thing doesn't make any sense. If there was such a thing as God and the devil would have known that and wouldn't have struck up that deal. But they don't think about that.
Right. And, you know, even in a sort of mild sense, this philosophy gets people to defer their life.
Oh, yeah.
Now, it's one thing to understand that life has its sorrows and to try to cope with them the best you can. And I perfectly understand people wanting a kind of Superman to come from the...
Oh, yeah. Who wouldn't want that? Sure.
Yeah. But, you know, having prayed to this entity since I was a wee lad, you know, it's never come up winning the pinball game and dreams coming true. It's, you know, when you're in a sticky situation, you have to work your way out of it if you can. I've never received divine help for anything.
Yeah.
It's always come up empty.
Right.
So,
even if that thing was real, would you want that thing's help? So he can turn around and send more trials your way later?
right. Not that thing. Yeah. What you think that thing is when you're little and when you're brought up in the church.
Right.
That's, you know, you really don't have a full perspective. Although even when you're young, you see little cracks in the
armor. Yeah.
You know, I remember being in first or second grade and hearing the story about Lot's wife being turned into a pillar of
salt. Yeah.
Salt, and I remember asking the nun, why would God do that? You know, why?
Because he's so loving.
Yeah, right. And I forgot the stock answer or whether I was just hushed up, but you know, those kinds of questions were not welcome. But you can...
Quiet, kid.
I'm sorry?
They'll tell you, shut up, kid, quiet.
Yeah, right. That happened plenty of times.
Yeah.
You know, you could see cracks in the facade, but you're so influenced by the culture around you, by the religious culture around you, that you're kind of in this push-pull situation, and you're reaching out. You've been taught to pray, and then it just comes up empty all the time. So, what are you to do?
It does.
Anyway, well, great show, Charlie. Enjoying it immensely. Thanks a lot.
All right, buddy. Thanks for the call. Yeah, it's a fantasy world, folks. That's all it is. It's the illusion of comfort, hope, security, on and on and on. It like I said, I'd rather have no hope than a false hope. Bible dupes claim to be against lies and liars, but yet in reality, that's what they are. They might not realize it, but they are. You know, it's kind of like if you make up a story that you won the lottery. You know, you want to do like the tribe and win friends because they know that, you know, when you get money, people will bang at your door. So if somebody makes a story of, hey, I won the lottery, you know, now they got all these friends, they're feeling great. And then so you told some friends and they went and told some friends, and, you know, the next thing you know, it's spread all over town. Everybody in town now has, in effect, become a liar. They're not knowingly telling a lie, so they're not culpable liars, but still, they're propagators of a lie, right? Of course they are. So, you know, that's what Bible dupes are. They're propagating a lie. So do you want, I can't believe I said it to my grandfather, and I thought there was wisdom in that statement, that I'd rather have a false hope than no hope at all. No. God damn it, no. No, I would rather have no hope at all than a false hope. Because you're living a lie, you become a liar. You're filling other people with a false frickin' hope. And, at least some of them are going to figure that out, and that's going to make them more miserable in the long run. I got to tell you, folks, I wasn't a frickin' happy camper when I found out about this. When I discovered what a lie the Bible was, I'll tell you, I was in a tailspin for a while. I had frickin' ulcers over the goddamn thing. But I knew I had to let go of it. I knew it wasn't pleasant. Oh, it was not at all. It was devastating. That song, Losing My Religion. Yeah, to lose something you held so dear. At the same time, I was disgusted because I was seeing that it wasn't working for me, and not just me, but so many around me too. My poor mother to this day is still, and I guess in a sense has to be, a Bible believer. It's, she's held on to it for so long. To her, it's the only hope she's got. But so I still held on to that, hope, even though I saw it wasn't working. Something was wrong. Once I finally began to, pour through the damn book critically. That's the key. You've got to come to the point where you're actually able to step out and look at it critically. Most people, of course, again, they can't do that. To them, that's blasphemy. But if you can get yourself to that point where you will actually undertake a critical analysis of that book, that's when it falls. It falls, and it falls hard. It cannot withstand close scrutiny. The Bible is only acceptable to those who have not critically analyzed it. That's it, bottom line. If you believe the Bible, it's because you haven't subjected it to critical analysis. You have not put it to the truth test. To actually, look at its statements, compare them to see all the inconsistencies. You haven't done that. There are some who have claimed to have done that, but they haven't. They're lying. They're lying to themselves. They're lying to others. They have not done that, because the moment you do, it crumbles. It's over. Anyway, get back to these notes or I'll never get through them. Here's another passage along this line, John 16:33. Jesus is talking here. He says, "These things I have spoken unto you, that in me you might have peace. In the world you will have tribulation, but be of good comfort, be of good cheer. I have overcome the world." Here Jesus is making it clear, yeah, you're going to have tribulation in this world. So get used to it. And as Peter later said, enjoy it, embrace it. You're taking part in the Lord's suffering. But notice the so-called comfort Jesus provides here with his duped followers. This is supposed to give them comfort that all the while you're going to suffer trial and tribulation in this world. Be of good comfort. Be of cheer, for I have overcome the world. How in the hell could that possibly provide you comfort? You ask the Bible dupe, and they'll come up with all kinds of nonsensical answers to that question. But in reality, it doesn't provide them comfort. They'll claim it does. Oh, I take great comfort in knowing that the Lord overcame the world. They'll tell you that they take great comfort in that, but what comfort in reality really comes to them in that supposed statement, supposed reality that he overcame the world? Yeah, he overcame the world, all right. For those that actually believe the gospel narrative, that it played out that way. Okay, it played out that way, fine. But how has that changed your life? How does that give you comfort? Someone else won a battle 2,000 years ago, and that benefits you now? Really? In what way? You're in the emergency room. You just got run over by a goddamn steamroller. It took off your legs, and you suffered so much blood, you're probably not going to make it. You're barely conscious, and your minister there is praying with you, and that's going to give you comfort. I don't have to worry. Jesus overcame the world. It's freaking ludicrous, ladies and gentlemen. But because Jesus said it, somehow, psychologically, they've accepted it because he said that's supposed to give you comfort. Therefore, yep, I feel comforted now. I feel great. Like Tony the Tiger, great. But what has it done for you? Nothing. Nothing. Here's another one. Philippians 1:29. God has graciously granted you the privilege not only of believing in Christ, but of suffering for him as well. It's a privilege now. Do you see why they beg for persecution? They beg for trials, tribulations. They want it. It makes them miserable. They're not, excuse me, they're not happy with their trials and tribulations, but they wouldn't be happy without them at the same time. They feel they need to have sufferings and trials. Oh, this is the ultimate suckerdom right here. To get people to chase after, they're not just chasing shadows with their fake beliefs. They're chasing after trauma and trials. They're chasing them. They want them. To get people to think that bad things in their life are good, and that good things are bad at the same time. When something goes good in the life of, your average Bible dude, but a great many of them anyway, think this way. They're very cautious. They're very leery. They don't want to embrace something good because they think it's the devil trying to get them to put their faith in material things or away from God. They don't like it when something good comes their way. A lot of them. They really don't. And on the occasions when they do, it makes you want to vomit. I remember sitting in church and the pastor would ask people to come forward if they wanted to give any testimony of something that the Lord blessed them with this week. And so usually you'd get some snotty-ass, rich, snobby little bitch going up there and bragging about a new frickin' Ferrari her husband bought her or something, And everybody would be amening, oh, the Lord has blessed you. Are you freaking kidding? You got people in the back row who can barely put food on their table and feed their kids, And this little wench is up there talking about her new Ferrari. I mean, it's so disgusting. But, this is how twisted their thinking is. They literally can make something good out to look bad or something bad out to look good. If something good goes, happens to you in your life, oh, no, that's not good. That's the devil trying to shake your faith. And if something bad happens, no, that's not bad. That's something good. God brought it your way to make your life better. This is how these twisted frickin' people think. And, they can't help themselves. They really can't. This is what their goddamn book has taught them. It's pathetic. They'll probably go to their dying day believing this. There was an elderly couple I used to board with years ago when I went to, I went for 2 years in high school to a church-run school. I think I told you that before. It was a freaking joke is what it was. The teachers there were more immoral than the ones I had in the regular, public high school. Anyway, they had me stay there with them. They wouldn't take any money rent-free. I have to, I'm grateful to them for that. They were very, very nice people. I wish I never went to the damn school. It's a waste of time and money. But nevertheless, they were very, very sincere people. I discovered the Bible, to be a fraud back in 2010, at which time they were both alive. I think the wife died now. I don't know. I lost touch with her. I went to call her a few weeks ago, and her number is disconnected. I tried to look her up to see if she's in a nursing home or something, and I can't find her. So I don't know. She may very well have passed away. She'd be in her mid-90s now. But as of 2010, they were both alive. He died, I think, in 2011. He had battled cancer off and on for years, and he finally succumbed to it in 2011. But anyway, as of 2010, they were both still alive. And, I uncovered the Bible to be a fraud. But you know what, guys? part of me wanted to share it with him. I wanted to call him and tell him what I found out. But at the same time, no. Why do that? Why do that to him? First of all, they wouldn't believe it anyway. Second of all, it's only going to get them worried about me and my salvation. Oh, he's gone off the deep end. Oh, why wreck that? I never said a word to him. But they're a classic example of, how Bible dupes can be so sincere. They really were. A lot of them aren't. They're judgmental, finger-pointing, hypocritical SOBs. I can't stand them. But these people were as sincere as they come. And so, in that sense, I looking back, I can appreciate their faith, not their religion, not their Bible, not their God, not their, the whole damn thing. I have no respect for that. But their personal practice of it, I respect. You understand? There's a difference. They did it for the right reasons. They didn't know that their fire-breathing dragon God was just that, a fire-breathing dragon. They really thought him to be loving. So you got to respect that, But it's so sad because even if they weren't in their senior years and they were still alive, I probably still wouldn't share my findings with them because it would be to no avail. They're just so, they were so inundated with it. It's not going to accomplish anything. People have to have an interest, really. They have to want to know that what they've been told is a fraud. And most of them are never going to come to that point, which is why I say, don't be discouraged if you try to wake up Bible dupes. It's just not going to happen most of the time. That's not to say don't try. Although I would just remind you once again, don't try to do that with someone who's ailing in their senior years or severely depressed. No. Use common sense. But do understand, most of the time, it's not going to go anywhere. At least not right away. Maybe years down the line, something you said is going to click with them later when they're going through a trial and they see that their God isn't answering their prayers. You got to be patient with these people, unfortunately. All right, guys. Hopefully I'll finish these notes up tomorrow. I've been rambling too much. We'll see you then. Take care.
It's been a long time that we've been apart. Much too long for a man who needs love. I miss you since I've been away. Babe, it wasn't easy to leave you alone. It's getting harder.
You may have been hearing a bunch of terrible things about the Jews on this network. But let's take the time to thank the Jews for all of the great works that they've been doing. Politicians, media moguls, bankers, pornographers, comedians, movie stars, directors, and producers, Fed chairmen, and no, I didn't forget about Janet Yellen, she's a dude. Feminists, social justice warriors, communists, and Holocaust milkers. It's been a great year, guys, and this year will be sure to piss you off even more. Thanks, Jews!